タンドまさかディオのスタンドザ・ワールド
Welcome back to the battle for Ostara. We are slowly closing in on the last of the Beast Titans, dangerous apex forms of Beast Paradox Pokemon that have greatly changed the landscape of Ostara since their introduction. And this next one is no exception. Of course, we need a new form of Roto Mech to get to and face this new threat, so let's not dally and learn more about this new Rotom form. So to recap on our Rotom forms, we so far have our standard Roto Mech form that we got to counter the Beast Titan Magikarp, capable of double jumping and able to fire specialized sonic bombs. Then we went to the Silver Coast and managed to infiltrate the lair of the irate Beast Paradox Noivern by using the stealthy Roto Mech boat and subforms, capable of swimming and diving to avoid the ire of the Beast Kamalas as well. We then made our way to Tectonia Mines, where our Roto Bike form allowed us to move even faster than before, and even climb up and all around walls and defeat the Beast Amalgam. So you can guess that one of the forms will be flying related, but don't get too excited. This next form isn't exactly a vehicle, but more of a form change for the regular mech itself. My idea for this one was essentially a TM strength form, or a Sumo-like form. Something a bit silly to fit in with the theme of our Beast Titan itself. This form is a round version of the Roto Mech that the main character would actually be inside, all safe and snug, with the hatch being at the top of the head. Its hands and arms form into these big, long, Hariyama-esque kind of pushing hands, with Hitmonlee-like spring arms, allowing for some long-range, arms-esque kind of punches. This, Rinks and the Beast Titan, would be very at home in the ARMS video games. Rest in peace, ARMS. Pour one out for the homies. It's a bit squatter in the legs, but still just as large, and even has its kind of electric antennae the other forms have, turned into an almost electric cloud that mimics a sort of Raijin or Fujin kind of thing. Because each of the Roto Mechs share the fighting type, I chose the Steel type for the secondary typing, as this was the most fitting for what it would be going against. Rotom, Sumo Shove build. Hibiscus Lab's greatest invention, a steel and fighting type. This form of Roto Mech is a prototype form created to specifically counter the Beast Titans that utilize their brute strength, mirroring them. This form has great strength and defenses but can't move as fast. The two large hands of Sumo Shove form are powerful enough to move great boulders and even launch them massive distances. This has been a great selling point for investors as being a Pokemon that can move roadblocks and hazards without difficulty. In battle it's just as fierce, taking attacks head on to allow it to get close to the opponent and then finish them off with a single slam attack. Just one hit is enough to cause a Pokemon to be launched out of the arena. This form of Roto Mech has the ability Sturdy. So this form of Rotom is slower, kind of lumbering about. However, once in its aiming stance, you'd be able to launch special punching attacks that would be able to launch massive boulders that up until now were blocking special paths. This attack could also be used on wild Pokemon to temporarily stun them for battle, as well as using it to brawl in farm raids. So with the ability to move big rocks, we need a new Pokemon to find within them. A Geodude-like Pokemon that would jump out at you when you disturb their home. Although this one may be a little more dangerous. There are a lot of slivery snakes in Australia, but I wanted one with a bit of bite and venom to introduce into the Ostaran ecosystem. And none is better than the red-bellied black snake. A snake so deadly, so dangerous that, well, no human fatalities have ever been recorded. Isn't that kind of amazing? And also the fact that their venom contains so many different kinds of toxins and it just hasn't caused any real problems. Bless your red belly. Anyway, I've combined this line with the Thunder Egg or Geode, the sort of thing. But why do you ask? Well, literally because I thought it looked like a snake egg being broken open, and from there I just kind of go on with it. Histal, our little friend, is a tiny snake that looks like it is poking its head out of a Geode, but the Geode is actually its whole body. Also plays up the fact that snakes love hiding under rocks and all that. In the end, our little friend Histel would be a shy Pokemon that only shows up when you smash its hiding rock. Histel, the Geode Pokemon, a rock and poison type. Histel can be found buried underground where they eat dirt and other crystals to strengthen their body. The shinier the crystal surface, the more sturdy they are. What looks like a fracture in its body is a small alcove where Histel can hide their soft heads to avoid attacks. If you pick up a Geode that is expelling a noxious fume or is hissing violently, there is a good chance you have picked up a Histel. Histel hunts Sparf as they contain especially useful minerals, and has led to the entire line fighting in caves and mines, causing cave-ins and other tragedies. Histel's ability is Shell Armor. Once it evolves into Nafluve, it becomes quite foppish, much less shy and more proud of its appearance. Able to now control the flow of poison gas from its body, it creates this almost cape and hairdo out of the fumes. I want the sort of crack or hole that Histel hid in to become a different part of the body, mainly an area where it can produce and expel those fumes. This is a mid-stage, so I feel like this is the best time to make it the sassiest version of the line, and have those really silly looks to it as if it's still experimenting on what it looks like. I imagine it has sort of a snivy or servine kind of nature to it. Nafluve, the Geode Pokemon, a rock and poison type. Nafluve are extremely rude and jealous Pokemon. Their body is hardened enough where it has outgrown the need for hiding within. The large cavity in its chest now expels a controlled plume of toxic smoke. When Nafluve is angered, it will send out waves of its poison, while the opponents struggle to not breathe in the toxic air, and distracted is when Nafluve launches itself towards their prey for a simple, guaranteed strike. Each Nafluve has a plume of hair that it constantly expels. Each one is unique and tells much on the health and personality of a Nafluve. Nafluve have the abilities Shell Armor and Toxic Debris. In its final evolution, Hissanova, it is no longer concerned with your petty worries and concerns, and now only cares about its looks. It's got that full-on serpent energy kind of mirroring Arbok or Superior. It's got its head held high, showing off that chest cavity where it's cooking the most devious of toxins. Now it has full control of its fumes and creates this almost neck boa, pun intended, around it that in-game would have this pleasant animation of it pulsating and spinning around its neck, as well as going up to the head and would bounce around with some jiggle physics. I wanted to keep the sort of geometric patterns to mimic sort of a combination between some Aboriginal art, as well as a sort of angular Aztec serpent theme. This would also help give it some variety to the body as, yeah, it is a red belly black snake, but I think having some red on the other sides help it look a little more interesting. Although it looks a little cobra shaped, the red belly black snake can flatten its neck out a bit when it's threatened, so I thought it'd make a great area to put the Geode as well. Hissanova, the Geode snake Pokemon, a rock and poison type. Hissanova has perfected the ability to shape and control the fumes its body can create, and will shape them into fantastical shapes and compete with one another. Although its chest cavity looks fractured, these are all special shapes that are unique to every Hissanova, and are completely structurally sound. Within is a special pocket where Hissanova expels their most fatal fumes. There's never been a recorded fatality from Hissanova, as it seems to generally understand to not hurt humans as they are its greatest admirers. Pokemon that are their prey, however, are not so lucky. Hissanova have the abilities Shell Armor and Toxic Debris. So with all the rocks and stones being launched about the place, you'd have to do some clearing of the Blue Steel Mountain region. Not just for you, but for people who have been trapped from this Beast Titan pest as well. This would be the dungeon of this area, less of a challenge of navigation, but more saving people around the area, pushing stone, encountering Histel and Nafluve all around. Once everyone's gone to safety and a few cutscenes of a strange being watching from the mountain above you, you'd make your way to the arena here. An almost Pokemon battle arena carved out of stone, with some of the stones around the area being pushed with great force and even three-fingered indents all over them. And that's when you'd see them jumping down from above, ready to issue your next challenge. Let's meet Beast Titan Grimmsnarl. If you've been through the Ostara region, you'd know that I'm a fan of Japanese aesthetics and yokai, so Beast Titan Grimstyle introduces elements of a few things. Very much Gear 5, as well as Kabuki and No Theater, and of course Onis as well. This form of Grimstyle is surprisingly bulky, as instead of just being a spindly thing with hairs making up most of its body, this style is muscled underneath, but still packs its body with rocks held up with its hair. Much like the Rock Lee training weights, it's always training and allows its body to be rock hard as well. This form of Grimstyle changes both its typing to very much speaking for itself typing of rock and fighting, using a sort of combo between traditional Kabuki theater movements and sumo slamming attacks. It has a sort of sumo waistband made of hair and Kabuki hair, and we are coming back to the Roto Sumo mirror as this has a swirling cloud of hair on its back as well. It was hard to keep the traditional Kabuki pose while also having the Beast Paradox perspective, while also showing the face. But I'll let you just imagine that it kind of has a face that just juts out of the torso with the bottom teeth kind of sticking out as well. Colors red and white as a homage to one of my D&D characters who are very similar, and I feel it fits quite well. Anyway, here's my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure OC. Grimstyle, Beast Paradox form, the Shove Pokemon, a fighting and rock type. Through conducted research, we have found that this form of Grimstyle adapted this haughty nature and want for battle due to living in a part of Ultra Space where it had to face problems head-on. Its body is still more muscular than regular Grimstyle, but the hair fibers now allow it to train its body by holding massive amounts of heavy stones. It may look chunky, but most of it are solid stones that Grimstyle has packed into its body. Grimstyle's want for battle causes it to create utter destruction, 5-star threat. Grimstyle in this form has a new ability called Stone Body, where it reduces the damage of physical punching and kicking moves, and prevents this Pokemon from being forced in or out of the battle. Beast Grimstyle has a new attack called Sumo Slam. It's a 120 base power, 5 PP, 90 accuracy rock-type physical move. The user moves swiftly about the battlefield, then hunkers down to unleash a massive slam to the enemy. This attack only deals half damage to Pokemon below a certain weight, but will always cause them to be switched out forcefully, while heavier opponents take the full brunt of the attack but stay in the battle. So the actual personality of Grimstyle would be much like Buzzwole, except instead of constantly flexing it would be doing a bunch of Kabuki dances trying to goad you into fighting it. But of course we are going to beat this Titan down, and it seems incredibly keen to throw down. The fight itself would go down inside of the arena, almost completely changing the style of gameplay, becoming essentially Punch-Out or even Arms, where each punch for or against you would push you or Grimstyle further to the edge of the arena over 3 rounds. Round 1 would be easy as Grimstyle would easily telegraph its hits and you could counterattack with a big ol' slap. Once Grimstyle is launched out of the arena, he bounces back up and implements some feints and tricky dances to try and confound and astound you. Keep your Roto feet on the ground and fight back and complete round 2. Round 3, Grimstyle gets a bit red in the face and starts playing a bit dirtier. In this final form, you have to get close by either dodging or hitting back stones he throws, stopping him as you dash forward to get in close enough to complete the 3rd round and get that big final punch. Grimstyle would climb back up only to fire off one final pose and feint, allowing you to catch him and send him off to the research lab. With Grimstyle detained and the barrage of boulders ceased, there's only a few more locations left to explore in Ostara, and they're all off to the southwest. So next time on our Ostara journey, we'll meet some new Psychic-type Pokemon that live around this more mystical and cosmic town. But first I'm feeling hungry and my tummy craves some classic Ostaran food mons. So what did you think of the video? Comment your thoughts and don't forget to like the video and share it around to fellow sumo slammers. And if you like my videos and art, consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time.
永遠に供養しろアンジェロ。俺のじいちゃんも含めててめえが殺した人間のな。